And welcome back to SA Sports Show. I'm Greg Anderson, and I know I say it every week, but this is one of my favourite segments. Craig, welcome from the Southern Footy League. It's hotting up, isn't it? Wow.
Mate, it's the pointy end of the season, and we know how intense it
Finals
can be
is,
at this time of the year.
Yeah.
But
Noarlunga, very strong, and we spoke about it last week. I don't think we thought the margin was going to be that big.
No. Noarlunga, again, just played the perfect game.
Yeah.
Currently undefeated, now go through to a grand final as undefeated, and we know
and that's hard.
That's added pressure again.
Yeah.
But the way they played Flagstaff Hill last week, it was just they played really, really well. Defensively, they set up perfectly.
Flaggy show some really good signs, though. Is there anything they can say, okay, well, we've lost the game, we've really let ourselves down perhaps in the second half because of these particular reasons. And, you know, if we take that into considerations, we're not too far. No,
10 minutes into the third quarter, it was a fairly even sort of game. Noarlunga,
we're talking 6 goals.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not a huge margin.
In today's footy, it's not a huge margin. But in saying that, just the way
they dominated, obviously,
they just shut Flagstaff Hills forwards down, but on the reverse, Flaggies weren't able to on the counter. When you look at Tommy Caudle, Victor Robinson, Malira, just floating through that half-forward line, they've got a lot more targets at the moment, it appears, than what Flagstaff Hill have.
Okay. And the other big game, of course, was Christie's beat Port Noarlunga. So
the sock still stays at Christie's Beach.
That's it. Yeah. Yes, which is good. So that was a fairly close game. It was only 10 or 12 points in it in the end. So
it's the third time this year that Christie's have beaten Porties by
just a short margin,
less than 3 goals.
Wow.
Porties didn't do themselves any favours, a little bit fumbly, and Christie's were able to capitalise on that. But also, as we said, bringing 4 really good players back into the side, Blake Carter, Matty Hodge, Benny Powell, who'd been out for 5 or 6 weeks with a hamstring. They just dominated. Benny Powell kicked 4. Blake Carter was amongst the goals again.
You were saying that last week, these guys are coming back into the Christie side. So,
and again, that all bodes well with another run under their belt for the preliminary final this week.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that game was actually played at Port Noarlunga, was that right? Or
no, that was played at Christie's.
That's Christie's, okay.
So and the Noarlunga Flagstaff was at Port Noarlunga. This week, the preliminary final is at Noarlunga.
Yep.
No home ground advantage.
No, there's not.
And at the end of the day, it should be an absolute cracker, I like
Noarlunga, they've got to go through an undefeated season to run around that trophy. That's a hard thing to do.
It is. And so during our history, probably maybe 3 or 4 times in the whole of 130 years that we've been going, that we've had undefeated sides. The last one was way back in 2007. Because
when I was coaching the Cove, and we were lucky enough to win the flag, we were undefeated until the last game, and I was a bit disappointed we lost it. I did take some of the key players off different times, but I thought they would still have a good enough structure to win the game. We lost by a couple of goals, and I'm driving away from the Oval. I was actually a little bit relieved. Thought, we don't have to go into a finals campaign as undefeated.
It's a big burden to carry.
I reckon it is. So, but we don't want to jinx them though. That's not fair because they are the best side of the year.
Noarlunga are good enough to carry that mantle. Yeah.
Just staying on the men's side, we're looking at Cove already. We spoke last week. New coach, which is fantastic.
Bradley Crabb.
What a
terrific!
I know we just brushed it last week. That's a huge get. I mean, he's a gun player.
And quality.
Yeah. I mean, he was. I think his last game could have been against the Crows in the SANFL, and I actually think I watched him getting cheered off by all his teammates. So, I mean, he's fresh out of SANFL. He'll obviously be a playing coach.
Yes.
And who's going to stop him? He is a gun.
It can play both ends of the field.
Both ends of the field. So that's good for all us Cove. But the other great thing about us Covies, the women's.
We mentioned it last week.
Yeah, we did.
It was a do or die. They've come from a long way back at the start of the season. Didn't have a very good start. They've now won 7 games on the trot, so to speak, and did a really good job of beating Flagstaff Hill, who'd been there or thereabouts most of the season.
Yeah.
So now they get an opportunity to play in the grand final on Sunday against Aldinga. And it's great to see the Aldinga footy club.
Yeah. And also Cove, because two clubs have been down for a while.
Yep.
For Cove to beat Flaggies by 5 goals and go into a grand final, that sort of confidence, that's a big win. That's going to be pretty exciting.
And a big momentum for both clubs. We're actually got extra air time, so the radio team will do the preliminary final for the boys.
Yep.
And then on Sunday we'll back up and we'll do the first time ever a live call of the girls' grand final.
Oh, isn't that fantastic?
So really good for the growth of women's footy down in the south.
Yep. Now, any other little rumours for coaching for next year? I mean, obviously a whole bunch of clubs aren't playing this time of year, and they'll be shuffling the boards of their players and also coaching.
I know Ranella are starting to interview already.
Okay.
Josh Vick is not going on.
Okay. Yep.
Because he's taken up the principal's role at the primary school.
Hasn't he been wonderful?
He's been terrific. He's been absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Not only for the Cove when he played for Cove, but again for Southern Districts into league football.
Yeah, exactly.
And then now gone over to Ranella.
And he embraced that.
Really good.
I just want to say he embraced it. He would have been the first at training at to represent the area, to represent the state. He was just so passionate, and for him to finish off coaching still in the league that he loved passionately, I think was fantastic.
It was, and thanks to Josh for all the work that he has done. But interesting game. I still think Flaggies have got enough to beat Christie's this week.
Yep.
But I would suggest it's going to be a really tight one.
Crowds last week would have been great, because that's a couple of big games there.
Book ahead and avoid the Christmas rush.
It will be. It'll be a cracker this week.
And it'll be the same this week at Noarlunga. It doesn't get much bigger than that either. So we've been really pleased with the crowds. I think we probably nearly 4,000 at both days.
Yeah,
in the Southern Footy League, which is for a country league is terrific.
Fantastic. And just quickly, the grand finals. Just repeat where it's played again.
Yeah,
between the Cove and Aldinga.
At Aldinga.
Yep.
And then our following week is the big one, the big dance for us is at Flinders University.
Fantastic.
or Higginbottom.
Okay, fantastic.
But I can't let the segment finish, mate, without congratulations to yourself. On last Monday night, inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations!
You got your script right there. That was perfect.
You and Peter Motley. And that would have been really good. Certainly not really good for yourself, but to do it with a bloke like Peter Motley.
Look, we played lots of state footy together, and as a kid, I sort of really did look up to him. I idolised him. He's a couple of years older than me, and to be able to share the night together was really special.
Before his accident, he was a superstar.
Just a super. And the highlights they showed last Monday night of him playing, people were just in awe. And I was watching a lot of the faces of the young football players representing their clubs, going, oh my God, how good was he? And he was that good. So congratulations to Peter Motley, fantastic.
And also you, mate.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for coming in again. We'll see you next week, of course.
No doubt.
We're back after the break.